Okay, we're going to call the special town meeting to order. Constable, may I have a vote of the count of the voters present, please. We have 170 voters. We have a quorum. 147? Okay, 147. We have a quorum in any event. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If the tellers would please come forward to be sworn. Thank you, and if the clerk would please read the warrant.
Plymouth SS, to either the Constable of the Town of Whitman. Greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of the Town of Whitman qualified to vote in elections and town affairs to meet in the Town Hall on said Whitman on Monday, the 12th day of January, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Then and there to act upon the following articles. Articles 1 through 9, I believe it is. And you are hereby directed to serve this warrant by posting up attested copies thereof in not less than 8 public places in the town 14 days at least before the day of said meeting. Hereof fail not, and make due return of the warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of holding of said meeting. Given under this hand this 15th day of December, 2025, signed by the Select Board, Dr. Carl F. Kowalski, Chair, Daniel L. Salvucci, Vice Chair, Justin R. Evans, Clerk, Sean M. Kane, Member, and Laura J. Howe, Member. Warrant attestation. I hereby certify that by virtue of within warrant, I have posted 8 copies of said warrant in various sections of the town with 2 copies in each precinct, dated December 24th, 2025, William E. Shatner. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just to review some of the rules and procedures for tonight's meeting, all voters must sit in the designated areas. All non-voters must seek permission from the moderator to be here before entering the hall and must sign in at the town clerk's office and must sit in a designated section of the balcony unless granted permission to sit in the voting section. They may not speak except with my permission. They may not vote. All amendments must be submitted in writing and must be signed. Massachusetts General Laws Articles 1, 2, and 3 of the town bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order govern the conduct of this special town meeting. As for speaking procedures, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand, raise it high, make it obvious it's a big room. I need to be able to see you. Once recognized, please stand and go to the nearest microphone. There's one in the center aisle here, there's one up in the balcony, there's one over here at the podium, and state your name and your address. Please confine your comments to the article or motion that is on the floor. You may not speak for a second time on an article or question until everyone who wishes to speak for the first time has done so. If you address your comments to me, if you have a question, I will recognize somebody who can answer your question. If you have a comment, please direct it to me. I'd like to recognize the Finance Committee, these folks who are sitting on this table here in front of me. They're volunteers. They do an important service for the town. And if you're interested in serving, please contact me through the Select Board or through the Town Clerk's office. All right, Article 1. Ms. Carter, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mary Beth Carter, 896 Auburn Street, and I'm the Town Administrator. Good evening and welcome to tonight's special town meeting. Thank you for making the effort to attend this very important special town meeting. I am very pleased that we have a quorum this evening, as this allows the town to conduct the necessary fiscal year 2026 business at hand. Tonight's warrant consists of 9 warrant articles. I consider the first 3 warrant articles to be housekeeping items. Articles 1 and 2 represent unpaid bills for the prior fiscal year 2025. Article 3 is an article we place on the warrant each year to release funds due to WHCA, which are received from residents' Comcast payments each month. The town simply serves as a pass-through to distribute the funds directly to WHCA to help fund their operations. Article 4 through 8 are related to public safety articles, borrowing for the new Whitman Middle School project, and an article related to an emergency repair that was necessary at the library. Article 9 is a citizen's petition. Some of the Select Board members and I will offer additional commentary regarding articles proposed by the Select Board as we move through the warrant. Articles sponsored by other departments or citizens will be addressed by them. While I consider this to be a relatively small warrant, it is one that is extremely important and impactful to both the residents and employees of the town. I ask everyone to please be respectful and patient as we collectively discuss each article and listen to the information being presented, the questions asked, and the varying opinions that will be offered this evening. Again, thank you for your interest and participation in our special town meeting tonight.
All right, Article 1, prior fiscal year bill. To see if the town will vote to appropriate $550 from free cash to pay the following prior fiscal year bill. Teleflex, $550, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion? Second. Motion and a second. Discussion of Article 1? All right, all in favor of I'm sorry, sir? Please.
Sorry, I'm young, so what is Teleflex?
Could you state your name and your address, please?
Oh, Darwin's Romulus, 54 Broad Street. What exactly is Teleflex?
Can somebody answer? Chief?
Sorry, it's vague. Teleflex is a medical supply company that we buy some of our medical supplies to. This was purchased in the last year, and they failed to send us a bill into this current fiscal year. We're just trying to pay the old debt.
Thank you.
Right. Other discussion of Article 1. All right, this does require, since it's a prior fiscal year bill, it does require a 9/10 vote, so if it's not unanimous, we'll have to do a standing count. All in favor of Article 1, say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Article 1 is adopted unanimously. Article 2, prior fiscal year bills. To see if the town will vote to appropriate $2,833.57 from free cash to pay the following prior fiscal year bills. Reed Custom Soils, LLC, $1,063.68. Four Seasons Power Equipment, $21.92. Mass Mobile Drug Testing, $894. Amazon Business, $455.97. H2 Olson Engineering Incorporated, $80. Express Newspapers, $318, or take any other action relative thereto. Is there a motion? Second. Motion and a second. Discussion of Article 2. Article 2, likewise. Sir, did you wish to speak? Raise your hand up high.
Darwin's Romulus, 54 Broad Street. Why do we have Amazon Business? We don't even have Amazon in this town.
If there's anybody who can speak to that. Yep.
Why do we have Amazon Business if we don't have Amazon in this town? Because I see that's like a waste of money.
Bruce Martin, 54 Park Ave, Public Works Superintendent. So a lot of the town departments purchase items through Amazon. We have a town Amazon account, so it's much easier for us to find things on Amazon. I'm sure everybody knows that. So this is just an Amazon bill. The purchase was probably made late in the fiscal year, and then we got the bill late after the deadline, after July 1st sometime. That's the case with most of these bills on here.
Thank you.
Other discussion of Article 2? Article 2 also requires a 9/10 vote. So all in favor of Article 2, say yes. Yes? Opposed, no? Article 2 is passed unanimously. Article 3, cable access account. To see if the town will vote to appropriate $181,622.38 from the Reserve for Appropriation Cable Access Account to fund PEG access services in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53, F and 3/4, or take any other action relative thereto. We have a motion and a second. Discussion of Article 3. Ms. Fox.
Mary Fox, 565 Washington Street, Apartment 5. I thought, I'm probably misinformed, that what I pay for Comcast or whatever it is through the bank, that paid. I didn't know we were paying almost $200,000 just to see meetings on a community channel. Although I must admit, I do enjoy the children's performances at Conley and Duval, and of course, the sports teams. I'm not keen on the EEG that I see in little cameo shots of the only meetings that are really telecast are the school and the selectmen. So that's a lot of money for that.
Anybody wish to address that? Was there a question? Did you have a question? Or just a comment? Just a comment? Okay. Okay. All right. Any further discussion of Article 3? All in favor of Article 3, say yes. Opposed, no. Article 3 is adopted unanimously. Article 4, fiscal year 2026 public safety budget adjustments. To see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer $53,000 from reserve appropriation ambulance purchase account and transfer $95,000 from unexpended funds under the town's original appropriation. To purchase and equip a new four-wheel drive shift commander vehicle is authorized under Article 33 of the annual town meeting held on May 5th, 2025. To Article 2, budget line 16, fire department, all other services of the June 11, 2025 special town meeting, and also transfer $123,214 from the reserve appropriation ambulance purchase account and transfer $24,786 from the overlay surplus account to Article 2, budget line 15, police department, all other services of the June 11, 2025 special town meeting, or take any other action relative thereto. We have a motion. And a second. Discussion of Article 4. Mr. Kane?
Thank you. We go back to
If you could
last
just
June.
identify yourself so everybody knows. I know who you are, but not
Sorry.
everybody.
Yep, Sean Kane, 31 Forest Street, also a member of the Select Board. We go back to last June. I'm sure most of you were in the room. Right after the override failed, there was significant tension at that time between, at the time, public safety felt like they weren't being addressed in the budget as well as they should have been. And for my part, when I reflect back on that time, I really should have listened more carefully to the people that I trust and the voices from public safety. And as we were progressing towards the override, I don't think we did a very good job at proportioning the money leading up to the override. So when the override failed, we were sitting in this meeting. In the days leading up, it was obvious that motions were going to be made that would pit one department against another. And then when we got to the meeting, obviously there were some fairly aggressive comments, rightly so, and people were going to make a motion to take money from one department, the school department, and to give it to public safety. For me, I felt like this was not the direction that town meeting wanted to head in, and we really needed a compromise. So this was the compromise that we had proposed, that we would give us about 6 months to kind of organize a way to work with the finance committee and financially propose a financial way to keep public safety whole and move forward into 27 with obviously the tension still there, but work on a way to create a formula that would allow us to proportion money more fairly and transparently. So with that in mind, I think there's two obvious reasons why we really want to support this motion. One is safety. Right now, using the second ambulance is critical for response times. We pull back on staffing, we pull back on the amount of shifts that we cover. The second ambulance runs much less often and response times decrease. So that's critical to safety. Also on the police side, police is already understaffed. If we pull more funding from the police department, we're pulling from more staff, more shifts. That's another critical safety issue that runs counter to our public safety priorities. And then third, money-wise, the second ambulance allows us to bring in revenue. That revenue is a good amount of revenue. It's not $30,000, it's, over $100,000 easily that would, by running the second ambulance, we can bring in to offset some of this cost. So for those two reasons, I think this makes it an appropriate compromise. We are funding it with one-time money, which is not ideal. So moving forward, we're going to be working with the finance committee to kind of move past this. It's not something we want to be doing in the future. We did have to settle all 5 contracts in the last year. 2 of them are going to be ratified today. So obviously when we're projecting those things out, it's very difficult to calculate how much those contracts are going to ultimately be settled for. So using a bit of one-time money in this situation, I think is not ideal, but it's an appropriate compromise. So please support this effort.
Ms. Hill?
Rosemary Hill, 405 Franklin. Now, I just more or less want some clarification, because if you can't really pull from a school budget. When it comes as a bill to the town hall floor. So if somebody had made a motion to take certain amounts of money to put it somewhere else, it still would have been the same amount to the schools. So the logic I don't understand. Can you please explain that?
Mr. Kane?
Sure. I think actually, if I remember, logistically it was going to be fairly complex, but the bottom line, at least from my perspective, was it looked like people were not going to support the budget as proposed, and they were looking to take money from the school and to give it to public safety. That was the sentiment that I really received moving into town meeting and then at town meeting. But that, for me, I want to hear that feedback loud and clear. There's people that I really trust that were speaking honestly, saying, we don't see how this is fair and we're not going to support the budget as proposed. Remember, it was middle of June, so if we didn't support the budget in the middle of June, we go into the 1/12 scenario, which really turns into, not ideal for the town, obviously, and not ideal for the school. So my big picture takeaway from that moment was it kind of was a breakdown in the process, that we need to do a better job at improving the process as we move into town meeting this year so that that doesn't happen at town meeting. Because when it happens late in the game after town meeting, like I said, if the budget wasn't passed at that time, we go into July and it was a lot of negative things can come from those scenarios.
Ms. Landreville? Could you please state your name and address? I know you, not everybody does.
Sorry, Cindy Landeville, 20 Harvard Street. I would really like to hear the Finance Committee's recommendations on all these articles.
They are in the warrant. They are published in the warrant.
Mike Warner, 15 Old Colony Way. I'm the Finance Committee Chair. The Finance Committee, I'll address the article that's on the floor right now. I know you asked for all of them. I'm happy to come back if you'd like. Article 4. One of the things that we've looked at as a Finance Committee is prioritization of our finances in the town. We have a limited amount of finances, as I think most everybody here has in their personal lives. For us, health and safety is going to come towards the top of that list. Not funding these two departments means that we, as Mr. Kane had pointed out, means that we are going to be at risk of not having to have the right staff available to help us in our needs. We were very pleased with the work that the Select Board and the Town Administrator did to find that money and reallocate it. We have had the discussion because we're not happy with the fact that it is one-time funds. We have to find a way to make this fit into our normal budget, and that is our goal to accomplish in time for our town meeting. I hope does that answer your question? I'm sorry, I can't. The recommendation 7-1. So we are not unanimous as a Finance Committee, which again, each of us on the committee have our own beliefs and our own thoughts. We hear the facts presented to us. We come to you as a recommendation. All of us as a group will not always be in agreement.
Yes, ma'am.
Don Byers, 20 Russell Road. Moderator, this question is for Chief Hamlin. I have a question in an effort to better understand how the funding request fits into overall staffing and long-term planning. I recognize that public safety staffing must account not only for scheduled coverage, but also for vacation time, sick time, training, injuries, and unexpected incidents. So my question is whether this funding request is a complete staffing solution or a partial one, intended only to fill the unfilled shifts with overtime pay, but not truly solve an understaffing issue.
Chief?
sense.
Timothy Hanlon, 55 Indian Trail, and your police chief. First of all, every year, annually, at the annual town meeting, we present a budget, and that budget contains filling all the shifts throughout the year. That budget inevitably gets dropped down to what the town can afford and gets split amongst all the other departments, schools, fire department, DPW. And so we go from there. So it's not ideal. It's never ideal for any of us, but we work well together. And so to answer your question, no, it does not fully fund the police department. We will still be short, but we will be a lot better off than we were earlier today if this proposal goes forward and passes. We're still not quite there. The other piece of this is we just settled a 3-year contract, and we didn't anticipate exactly what those numbers were going to be. And so that's going to offset that in another article that you're going to see as well. But this is part of that. So it puts us in a lot better shape. Shifts are more manageable. We'll be able to fill more, meaning that officer will not be absent from the shift and absent from duty as well, if that makes sense. So in other words, if we have 5 people on a shift and we're unable to fill one, there's only 4 officers out there. We'd rather have all 5 be available.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Just about, moderator, one more follow-up question. So as you just said, if there is a staffing gap after this request is funding, can you share what that gap would be as far as bodies or additional manpower that would bring you up to that funding level that you submit annually?
Yeah, I did that in the annual town meeting. So I don't recall exactly what that number was, but we're going to work with whatever number we end up with, whether it's by supplementing that or tonight or some other way in the spring.
Thank you.
Other discussion of Article 4? All right, seeing none, all in favor of Article 4, say yes. Opposed, no. Article 4 is adopted unanimously. Article 5, Whitman Middle School Project. To see if the town will vote to appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds an amount of money to be expended under the direction of the Whitman School Building Committee for the purpose of paying costs of demolishing the existing Whitman Middle School and constructing a new Whitman Middle School at 100 Corthell Avenue in the town of Whitman, Massachusetts, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto. Which new school facility shall have an anticipated useful life as an educational facility for the instruction of school children of at least 50 years, and for which the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District, the district, may be eligible for a school construction grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, MSBA. The town acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement discretionary program based on need as determined by the MSBA, and any project costs the district incurs in excess of any grant approved by and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the town. Any grant that the district may receive from the MSBA for the project shall not exceed the lesser of 1/63 and 31/100% of eligible approved project costs as determined by the MSBA, or 2, the total maximum grant amount determined by the MSBA, and that the amount of borrowing authorized by this vote shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in the project funding agreement that may be executed between the district and the MSBA. All grant amounts received by the district from the MSBA on account of the project shall be applied to reduce the amount that the town shall borrow on account of the project in accordance with an intermunicipal agreement between the town and the district dated blank 2025. And the motion that the town appropriates the amount of $125,938,728 for the purpose of paying costs of demolishing the existing Whitman Middle School and constructing a new Whitman Middle School at 100 Corthell Avenue in the town of Whitman, Massachusetts, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, which new school facility shall have an anticipated useful life as an educational facility for the instruction of school children of at least 50 years, and for which the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District, the district, may be eligible for a school construction grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, MSBA, said amount to be expended under the direction of the Whitman Middle School Building Committee. To meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the Select Board, is authorized to borrow said amount under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, or pursuant to any other enabling authority. The town acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement discretionary program based on need as determined by the MSBA, and any project cost the district incurs in excess of any grant approved by and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the town. provided further that any grant that the district may receive from the MSBA for the project shall not exceed the lesser of 1/63 and 31/100% of eligible approved construction costs as determined by the MSBA, or 2, the total maximum grant amount determined by the MSBA, and that the amount of the borrowing authorized by this vote shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in the project funding agreement that may be executed between the district and the MSBA. All grant amounts received by the district from the MSBA on account of the project shall be applied to reduce the amount the town shall finance on account of the project in accordance with an intermunicipal agreement between the town and the district dated blank 2025. Do I have a motion? A second? All right. Ms. Carter.
Thank you. First, I have a motion to amend both the article and the motion only to insert at the bottom of Article 5 the date of January 7th, 2026, and at the bottom of the motion to insert the date of January 7th, 2026. And then I would like to make a comment.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to amend Article 5 to include in the first instance January 7, 2026, and in the motion part, the date January 7th, 2026. Do I have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second? All right. Discussion of the amendment? Okay, all in favor of amending Article 5, say yes. Opposed, no? Okay, Article 5 is amended. Ms. Carter.
Thank you. If I were unfamiliar with this article and I was asked to vote on this article tonight, I would want to know why this article is being proposed and what a yes vote and what a no vote would mean for the taxpayers. The district currently does not have a bond rating. The bond rating was withdrawn because they did not have their annual audits completed timely due to their data breach. So they're going out to the market to borrow. Right now, the $30 million ban that they took out last year is due on March 18th. And if the district goes out and borrows for that, they're borrowing as an unrated town. Now, you have to have your fiscal 2024 audit done before they can go out and actually take out a bond, but they certainly can go out and take out a short-term ban. So the district, by borrowing the $8 million with not having a bond rating and then taking a $30 million ban last year without a bond rating, it actually resulted in a higher interest rate, which of course we pay on our taxes. This is a debt exclusion. So my fear was that if they were to go out now and take out a $70 million ban, pay off the $30 million note and take out $40 million without their 24 audit, it would once again result in a higher interest rate and therefore a higher cost to the town. So this is our opportunity for the town to take over this borrowing. Everything else stays the same, the contracts with the OPM and the architect, the MSBA, the application. The only thing that changes is the town goes out to borrow with our bond rating. We have a AA3 with Moody's. It's a very stable, strong bond rating. I was the treasurer collector for 19 years, and we've always held that strong bond rating. But not having a rating or going out with a good bond rating makes a big difference in what we all pay for this project. So this timing just fell perfectly where we have a special town meeting to put this forth as they're going out to borrow within the next several weeks. So I hope that you do vote for this. Do you have any questions?
Discussion of Article 5. Ms. Fox.
Mary Fox, you know where I live. My question isn't so much about the money. My question is the insertion that you only expect a school to have a 50-year lifespan. This is for the town, all the schools, as I understand it. I don't understand it. Why is that? Why only 50 years?
That's the useful life of the project. So the current building has a 50-year lease. We're pretty far through that. I would think that once this building is done and turned over to the town, there would be a new 50-year lease on the new building.
Okay, the reason I guess I don't understand it, and I'm almost 80 years old, is my junior high school that was built in 1916 was never locked, never abandoned, always maintained. It is now also the first. We have now 3, and students and all the teachers are still in it. I do not understand. We don't have as big a town, really, and taxpayers are on fixed incomes. I think we should expect, with the money we put in a school, that it lasts longer, maybe not 100 years. And I taught in a school that was over 100 years also. I don't understand this 50-year business. I just don't.
Mr. Lynham.
The reason there is a
Frank, you
50-year...
might want to just identify
Sorry,
you.
Frank Lynham, 907 Bedford Street. The reason there is a 50-year life cycle on this particular project or any project that the MSBA funds is because that's their standard. They say that anything we build that's in part funded by the MSBA must have a life cycle of at least 50 years. The lease is tied to that, and the property is tied to that. It's an arbitrary number. We certainly hope it's going to last longer than that. But the requirements for the MSBA state that it must have a life cycle of 50 years.
Other discussion of Article 5? Yes, sir. If you could just go to the microphone so we can all hear, thanks.
Mike Andrews, 188 Alden Street. I'm just curious, why did we not do this to begin with and allow a ban to be taken out and incur those other interest rates to begin with? Why did we not just take the bond out ourselves?
Because you can't, under, the way the district is set up. It is the district's responsibility to borrow. We end up paying the debt, because we did a debt exclusion or not. If we didn't, we would still be responsible for the debt. But the debt goes on the credit of the district. They're the borrower. We pay them, and then they turn and pay the paying agent. So it falls under them. So I was very concerned when the $8 million ban was taken out, and there were only a couple of people that bid. And then I was more concerned when the $30 million ban came out, because I knew they wanted to go for a bond. And they actually had a negotiated sale where they went and said, you expressed an interest, would you be interested in taking the ban? So in order for the town to take it over, we had to do this intermunicipal agreement. It can be done, but the normal process is the district always borrows for district buildings. So it's not up to us to say we could have borrowed, we could not have.
I mean, just going back on your past experiences, knowing, when you saw our ban being brought up, did you raise a question then, right at the beginning?
I did.
And say, why are we doing this? Couldn't we take this over right to begin with?
Well, it's a very involved process, as we can see, but I did, at that time, they had 2 people, 2 entities that did bid on it, and I did ask for a meeting. We had a large meeting with many people from the district. We had the school committee chair, the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, the business director, and then we had the accountant, the treasurer. And also, I will say that when they went for the $30 million, that's when they didn't take a bond and couldn't take a bond because they didn't have the current audit. When I found out the next day, I called our financial advisor. He said, Mary Beth, I knew you were going to be calling me. I said, yes. I said, because I'm concerned about this. So the MFOB even got involved, the Municipal Finance Oversight Board for the state. They contacted me, and we, again, had a very large meeting with the district, some of the people up there, and also the finance team. And they actually approved to have the district go out and borrow with their backing, not backing, but their rating. But they still didn't get any bidders because it's considered to be a risky investment for many if they're buying bonds from a district that does not have a current rating. So where they're just beginning their 2024 audit, and they need a 2024 audit to go out and bond, it's the time for us to jump in. But we couldn't have just said, hey, we're taking this over. We have to go through a special town meeting and this whole process. It wasn't until after the $30 million ban that things started, looking into this. But it's in the best interest, and I can tell you that the town has paid more money on the $8 million ban, the $30 million ban, and if they go out for the $70 million ban, hypothetically, the rates that they receive compared to what the town is estimated that we would have received with our current rating. But we'll have to go out again and get rated as we move forward on this borrowing. We were rated when we borrowed on the DPW building, and Moody's again will do a rating before we go out and borrow for this. But if we don't, the project will still proceed at a higher cost to all of us.
I believe this is the way to go. I'm
Okay.
just saying, we should have done this from the jump. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, and I
You-
know it takes
yeah.
a special meeting or whatnot, and you've done a great job, stewarding this.
No.
But that's where my concern is, where you said nothing else changes except for the money comes from us now. You know what I mean? Is there any other concerns we should have that nothing else is changing with the?
Well, we
rest of
don't
manag-
control the district, right? There is a Whitman Middle School Building Committee, of which I am a member as well.
Right.
And so when the IMA was written, that's the document that was available. That was the first agreement that had to be done between the town. The town had to sign it, and the school committee. When that was first written, MSBA wanted a slight change, and one of the changes that the DOR wanted to see, and I wanted to see as well, is the funds will not be turned over. The original IMA said the funds, once we borrow, will be turned over within 5 days of receipt to the district. And I said, no, we're going to turn those over 5 days after we receive a requisition that has been voted by the building school committee and signed off by the OPM. So we're going to receive the funds, and we're going to
Divvy them out.
right, requisition them out over the time. So the accountant will be able to go over all the documents and so forth. But as far as the MSBA filing and the MSBA reimbursement, that all stays with the district.
Yep. Again, thank you, Vicki.
Other discussion of Article 5. Ms. Fox.
In reference to the former speaker's point, would you or would you not say, and this is addressed not just to Mary Beth, but to the selectmen and also the finance, it seems to me, and I'm going to ask you to be really soul search, didn't this kind of happen because in this town, we see a stark division between the old and the young? I've heard repeatedly in this room, it's all about safety, security, and plowing the streets. That's old people. And this old lady is not concerned about my safety at all. However, the kids, it seems that was a tight, I don't recall the exact numbers, I was in rehab, but that was a tight call to get that school to begin with. A tight call. We did get a grant, I forgot the number already, but it was a third of the cost from the state. I'd like to thank the person who went through that school, and again, nearing its 50-year mark. I also have another question. How is it these buildings are not maintained, or they're locked up for 20 years? This, to me, this poor management
Ms.
here.
Fox, we're trying to focus on Article 5.
I am focusing on it.
That's
You
not
wouldn't
part
have-
of Article 5, what you're
You wouldn't have
talking about right
needed,
now.
okay. You wouldn't have needed this kind of arrangement if we had some confidence in the leader of the schools. Our reputation and character now are as good as destroyed. Thank you for trying to bail us out, but this is less than honest with a quorum of 100 people. We're putting the schools, again, down there. Everything that police, the fire, and the DPW, they have a brand-new building. No problem when it comes to the young.
Okay. Any other discussion of Article 5?
Rosemary Hill.
Ms. Hill?
Rosemary Hill, 405 Franklin. So it's my understanding that we have to borrow through the school for MSBA builds. If we built it through the town, we wouldn't receive that MSBA money if we originally put forward the plans through the town. So the first step always had to start at the schools. Is that not correct?
Ms. Carter?
If the MSBA is involved, yes, it has to be borrowed through the district. And so the way it is set up, it's a 63.31% reimbursement of eligible costs. And not all costs of constructing a new school or building will fall under eligible costs. Does that answer it? Okay.
Other discussion of Article 5? Sir?
Matt Greenwood, 125 Whitman Ave. I had curiosity, so the band notes, my understanding is, are interest-only loans. Is that correct?
On a ban, you can have a ban and you can roll it every year for up to 10 years. In the third year, you are required to make a principal payment, but you're correct. The first 2 years of a ban is interest only. Third year, it's interest and a principal payment.
Okay. So if this were voted no, how much interest have we paid to date, and how much projected interest would we pay on the band notes should we $70 million band note get taken out?
Okay. So $8 million was taken out,
Yep.
and when that came up for renewal, the district took a ban for $30 million. They paid off the $8 million,
Yep.
and they had $22 million to work with to move the project forward. That $30 million now is due on March 18th. They need to pay off the $30 million ban, and then they need funds to continue the project, to keep the project on track. If they don't have their 24 audit, from what the information I've gathered with the financial advisor, I don't believe they'll be able to bond the project, which is long-term borrowing. It's interest and principal. They would be able to get a ban for $30 million at a higher rate and possibly the $70 million they need. But it will cost in the interest rate, the coupon rate that is passed on to the town. And I can give you some examples if you want them.
No, I think the point I'm trying to make is, my understanding is we've paid nothing but interest to date. Is that correct?
That is correct. So to date, we have put the interest for the $8 million onto your tax bills, and this January, we put the interest that is coming due for the $30 million. And if they borrow $70 million, we'll put the interest for that on next year's taxes. That 1 year's payment, whether it's just interest or interest in principal, is what is allocated and apportioned to all tax bills. But what we're putting on your bills is more than it needs to be.
Right.
And more than it
Interest only.
could
So if they
be.
took out a $70 million band note, we'd pay even more interest than just having the town take it up. I guess the fundamental question I'm trying to get an answer to is, at what point do the band notes get disbanded if we voted yes? And then how do we solve the district problem of, should we ever have another capital project that involves both Hanson and Whitman, how do they get capital? Like, do we just keep taking out loans between both towns?
This isn't, this isn't changing anything as far as what is owed on the project. It's just costing us more because they do not have a rate. It would just be either they're going out to borrow for a high rate or we're going out to borrow for a competitive rate. That's the only difference.
Right, but it still doesn't solve the problem that the district has, which is that it cannot take out
Yeah,
a loan.
the district would need to get their audits and then get their bond rating reinstated. I think
Ms. Stafford?
Hi, I'm Beth Stafford, 21 Harvard Street. I'm the chair of the building committee. We have finally gotten our 22, 23 audits I've done. The 24 is in process. We were just very concerned that it would not be done in time, even though they had told us originally it would be done in November. We're still waiting. And we were told it would be very difficult for them to even get it by the end of January, which would not give us enough time to go out and get a bond rating and then get banned. So we should be receiving our 24 shortly, which is the same as the town has the 24. And the only reason that this happened was because of the breach we had a few years ago that wiped out all of our accounts. And we had to, go get all the paper receipts and redo everything for the audit. But now We fixed it, we have new programs, well, actually, the same program, but everything is in the computer now. So the other 2 years, 23 and 24, went much quicker than 22 did. 22 took us a long time because it all had to go back into a trailer to get all the receipts and redo everything. So it shouldn't be a problem after this. I don't
So if the
anticipate.
town of Whitman takes out a bond, at some point the bans will terminate. The $30 million ban
That'll be
will get paid
terminated when
back,
it's done, sure.
and that'll be done. Okay, so no more rolling interest-only loans post-March?
I hope so. By March, when that one was paid, correct.
All right, thanks.
Other discussion of Article 5? All right. Sir?
Dick Blas, 24 Porter. Just a quick question, Mary Beth. Point of clarification. So the town takes out the loan. What I haven't heard is whether the town's going to hold on to that loan for 30, 35 years, or is the loan going to get refinanced by the school committee after they get the bond rating?
No. And so what would happen is we put this IMA in place, the town would then go out and borrow, and it would stay on the town's books, and it would be carried as our debt for the 30 years. Which, even if they took it out, we're responsible for it. We voted that for 30 years. But it wouldn't be flip-flop back and forth. I don't see that.
Well, the question then is, what does that do to the town's bond rating? Right now, we owe $20 million for the DPW. We still owe in the police station. The town still has an obligation with the high school. We add another $70 million or 100, whatever this total is, that has to affect our bond rating. So if we want to borrow in the future, it's going to cost us more to borrow in the future if we don't refinance that through the school committee.
So I asked that question as well, as far as our borrowing capacity, and the rating agencies look at it like you've already committed to that money. You signed that, voted that in 23 with the debt exclusion. So when we look at what you're responsible for your debt, we're already counting that in. So we wouldn't.
As co-signers, we're already obligated to that money.
Correct.
And it goes against our credit rating.
And it's not that, correct. I mean, it gets factored into everything. And that's why, too, they look at our reserves. They look at, do we have a healthy, stabilization fund and so forth. Those are all things that are important when you get rated by the rating agencies. So,
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Other discussion of Article 5? All right, seeing none, all in favor of Article 5 say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Article 5 passes unanimously. Article 6, Library Emergency Repair Transfer. To see if the town will appropriate and transfer $7,374.29 from unexpended funds under the town's original appropriation to install hot water recirculating lines in police cell block as authorized under Article number 27 of the annual town meeting held on May 1, 2023, to Article 2, Budget Line 14, Facilities, Expense, Furnishing, and Equipment of the June 11, 2025 special town meeting to pay for emergency repairs associated with the boilers and air handler located at the Whitman Public Library, or take any other action relative thereto. We have a motion, a second. Discussion of Article 6. All right, all in favor of Article 6 say yes. Opposed, no. Article 6 passes unanimously. Article 7, Fire Collective Bargaining Agreement. To see if the town will vote to approve a collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Whitman Fire Union, Local 1769 International Association of Firefighters, AFL-CIO, for the period commencing July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2028, and to transfer a sum of money from free cash to fund the additional costs not previously included in the fiscal year 2026 Article 2, or take any other action relative thereto. We have a motion and a second. Discussion of Article 7. Ms. Fox.
Chairman, could we have a explanation from the legislature?
Yes.
Do you mind, Ms. Fox? We'll let Ms. Carter go first, and then you're next, okay?
I'd like to make a motion to amend, if I may.
Very well.
To see if the town will vote to approve a collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Whitman Fire Union, Local 1769 International Association of Firefighters, AFL-CIO, for the period commencing July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, and to transfer $37,000.02 from free cash to fund the additional costs not previously included in the fiscal year 2026 Article 2, budget line 16, or take any other action relative thereto.
We have a motion? And a second to essentially replace the words "a sum of money" with $37,002. Discussion of the amendment. No? Okay. All right. All in favor of amending Article 7, say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Article 7 is amended. Ms. Fox?
Number one, it's come to my attention that I believe the Select Board, along with that young attorney, make up contracts. I never get to hear exactly what they are. This is a 3-year contract. So I'd like to know, what are we looking at in terms of money? And when they say, so in other words, we owe them 6 months, July, we owe them since July. Now they, as I find out, they settle like toward the last minute. I'd like to know exactly what we're paying, because that's what you're going to get in your tax bill. And I'm not sure the selectmen should be looking over contracts, because I'm not sure they're fully qualified. And I'm also not sure, when it comes to money, how would an audit take 2 years? We're in this mess because money is not being managed correctly. And may I remind you people, we trust you, just as we trusted other people to our dismay, to the kids' dismay.
All right. Other discussion of Article 7? All right. All in favor of Article 7, say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Article 7 is adopted unanimously. Article 8, Police Collective Bargaining Agreement. To see if the town will vote to approve a collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Whitman Police Union, Local 494, Massachusetts Coalition of Police, for the period commencing July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, and to transfer a sum of money from free cash to fund the additional costs not previously included in the fiscal year 2026 Article 2, or take any other action relative thereto. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Carter.
Thank you. I'd also like to make a motion to amend Article 8 to see if the town will vote to approve a collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Whitman Police Union, Local 494, Massachusetts Coalition of Police, for the period commencing July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, and to transfer $35,026.66 from free cash to fund the additional costs not previously included in the fiscal year 2026 Article 2, Budget Line 16, or take any other action relative thereto.
Do we have a second? Second. Discussion of the motion to amend. Ma'am.
Hi, Juliana Dunn, 68 Temple. How much money do we have in free cash?
Ms. Carter?
So free cash was certified at $1,050,313. We take, under our new policy, 10% off for capital stabilization, 10% of that balance for general stabilization. $200,000 will go to Plymouth County Retirement, line 35 in Article 2, and $140,000 free cash to OPEB, other post-employment benefits, unfunded liability. That leaves a balance of $510,753.53. And once we deduct the items today, this evening, if it's voted, we'll have $435,343.35 remaining. Thank you.
Other discussion of the motion to amend? All right, all in favor of amending Article 8, say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Could the amendment is adopted. Discussion of the amended article. Mr. Lynham.
I'm counting in my mind. I have stood in front of this town meeting either as a selectman or town administrator or a finance committee member
for 27 years. I retired in 2020. I came back to help out, and I'm fully retired, nothing to do with the town, very happy. However, I will tell you that in all those years, this is the most modest request I have seen for collective bargaining agreements, and I urge the meeting to support it.
Other discussion of Article 8? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Tina Moniz, 20 Fox Hill Run. I'm just wondering what the COLAs are for the next 3 years for the police.
Ms. Carter, can you answer that?
The COLAs are 2.5, 2.5, and 2.5.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Warner?
Mike Warner, 15 Old Colony Way, Finance Committee. You'll note that at the time of the warrant article being prepared, the Finance Committee had not voted on this. We did not have the sum of money, which we have received earlier this evening. So the Finance Committee did meet prior to tonight's special town meeting. The vote in favor of this article is 8-0 from the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Other discussion of Article 8? Yes, Mr. Gancher.
Michael Gancher at 68 Temple Street. I just had a quick question. On both of your amendments, you put budget line 16 for fire and police. Is it the same line?
Ms. Carter?
I only say that because I'm going to have to type it up and I want to...
I know, one was 15. One is 15 and one is 16, so let me take a peek here. 15 is police and 16 is fire.
In your amendment, you don't have 15 on the police, you just have 15 on the fire. Oh, please, sorry. You don't have a line number, but on the, you'll figure it out.
There's just no line number on either of them, I believe.
No, this one here does.
Oh, okay.
The line number 16 right there.
Okay.
This one doesn't have a.
So fire, I have 16.
Okay. Right, the amendment has that. Yeah, that's right. Do you need to amend it? No? No? Okay, we should be good. Other discussion of Article 8? All right, all in favor of Article 8, say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Article 8 is adopted unanimously. Article 9, Citizens Petition, to see if the town will vote to recommend to name the new middle school building being constructed at 100 Corthell Avenue, Whitman, Massachusetts, 02382, the Frederick M. Small Middle School, as recommended by the citizens' petitions, or act on anything relative thereto. Motion. Second. We have a motion and a second. Discussion of Article 9. Mr. Galvin.
John Galvin, 41 High Street. I was the one that submitted the petition. First, I wanted to thank everybody that signed the petition. Because it's a special town meeting, we had to get 10 times the amount of signatures you would normally get at a regular town meeting. So I wanted to thank you all for doing that. This is just a start of the campaign, I guess, to name the school after Mr. Small. We are just a recommending body. From here, it'll need to go to the facilities subcommittee of the school committee. They will need to also recommend it to go to the full school committee, where it will need to be approved by a unanimous by the school committee. So this is just a start, and I'm hoping to get more support from everybody as we go through these steps. If you didn't happen to meet Mr. Small before his before he died, sadly, in the summer of 2024. Fred was a huge supporter of the town of Whitman. I first ran into Fred early in the 2000s when he was a citizens member of the high school building committee. He was also a member of the finance committee. In 2012, he was elected to the school committee. On the school committee, he served as a liaison to Capitol Hill in Beacon Hill in Boston. He represented the school committee on the Capitol Committee. When the opportunity came up for the middle school building committee, Fred jumped at the opportunity to get on there, and at the early stages, I was on the building committee as well, and I was actually the one that motioned for Fred to be the chair of that committee. I did that because I knew Fred was an independent thinker, and he really would be able to work through all of the intricacies and the politics and all involved in getting a middle school built for the best of the town. When Fred didn't follow, he was a leader, and Fred, when the time came to for the building committee, which I was on it at the time, to vote for the type of new school that we had, there were majority of the school committee voted for the school that we came up with, which was grades 5 through 8 in an auditorium. There were several of us, me self included, that wanted to do grade 4 through 6 without an auditorium. Fred was in between. He knew that he wanted to keep in mind what the district wanted, what the teachers wanted, and have the 5 through 8, but he voted against the auditorium. And you may have some people say that Fred didn't vote for the school. Well, Fred didn't vote for the school, I guess, in what we're having, but he kept in mind what he thought was right for the people and the taxpayers. So Whitman has always, or our schools currently right now, we have the Louise Conley Elementary School, we have the John Duval Elementary School. I can't think of a better person that the town could honor by naming the school after Frederick Small. Thank you.
Ms. Hill?
I had questions. I actually had questions for the...
If you could ask me, and we'll try to find somebody to answer your question for you.
And thank you for putting this forward. And in recognition of Fred was very fiscally responsible and ensured that money went towards children when we did have money, that it was spent directly on those services. So we want to keep in mind, and I'll be one of the people that I have to vote on this. So I have some questions financially for this. So an example of renaming a cost of a school, it can go up to $300,000 in some cases, particularly because there's all kinds of paperwork at the state level in the middle of a build. Would you consider, much like they did with John McEwen, they didn't name the high school, the John McEwen High School, they named the auditorium. Would you consider possibly, not the auditorium because he wasn't for it, but the gymnasium? Because Fred did a lot with sports. Would that be a consideration that would both honor him, have his name, and also...
That's not my point to consider. That would be something that the school committee could consider, I would guess. I can't imagine it cost the town $300,000 to name the Conley School Louise Conley. Maybe it did, I'm not sure, but that's not that's not up to me, that's up to the school committee.
Yes, there are costs, and it goes all the way to the state level. You have to change paperwork, all kinds of loan information and other things.
It's a new school. I can't imagine that there'd be any cost for signage, there'd be any cost.
Technically is a redone school because it is the Whitman Middle School, even within our loan payments and other things.
That's something we can look at and we'll consider as we move forward.
Thank you. Thank you for putting this forward.
Other discussion of Article 9. Mr. DiOrio.
Christopher DiOrio, 847 Washington Street. When I heard about this petition movement here in town to have the new middle school named after Fred Small, I felt moved to speak on it. I'm not born here in Whitman. I didn't spend any of my formative years here, but I know a lot of people in this town are very proud townies who have known Fred from their high school days or from doing business with him as a nice guy who spent time working with schools and spent a number of years on the school committee ostensibly to help develop educational interest in this town. And I'm sure that's what drove a lot of people to sign or support this petition. What I know about Fred Small is that he took any and all opportunity to stand in the way of DEI initiatives, specifically opposing anything having to do with making life more acceptable for the LGBTQIA community, especially in the student community. when a community nonprofit group attempted to have rainbow crosswalks put in at the high school and the middle school, Fred actively opposed it, both in his official capacity and in his private capacity, and suggested at one meeting that we could honor LGBTQ kids by putting up an 8.5 by 11 plaque on a frame on a wall near the inside door. When we attempted to have rainbow crosswalks installed at the public library, Fred appeared at every meeting of the library trustees with a few members of his cabal arguing that a rainbow on the ground would be a direct affront to people attending church across the street, even though the crosswalk was placed on a side of the building where it wouldn't be visible to anyone walking into church on Sunday or any other day. I guess maybe just knowing it existed was enough. When citizens petitioned the select board in town to recognize Pride Month by donating a progressive pride flag to be put on the flagpole at Town Hall during the month of June again, it was Fred Small and his band of regressives standing up against inclusion, against this town showing its acceptance of a marginalized community. And when I handed a new flag to the town administrator, it was Fred Small who at that meeting said, "Throw that in the trash." This person that's being lauded as a champion of education, somehow deserving of having a school in his name, was an active supporter of the current federal administration, was proud of his support of the current president and the ideology up until his death, an ideology which we are watching in real time actively destroy education at all levels by disbanding the Department of Education, stopping funding for school lunches, banning books, and taking us back to the old days where schools
Mr.
aren't
Dior, if you
allowed
could
to
keep your
discuss.
comments confined to the school, the article that we're discussing here.
By all means, name a school here in the community after this person. Let's show surrounding communities and all the upcoming and current students attending this school that that's who we are and what we support. Why not choose one of the tremendous educators who have given their lives to support these children? Why not the Thomas Evans Middle School? Why not the Beth Stafford Middle School? So I stand firmly opposed to this powerless, mostly useless and performative article, and I ask that it be voted down here. And might I suggest, instead of putting Fred Small's name on the building, a fitting tribute would be one that he thought was perfectly appropriate. Putting something on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper inside a frame and putting it near the school door.
Other discussion of Article 9. Ms. Fox.
I was not allowed to speak personally. This poor, I didn't know him well, but this man, he just stood up. I don't know if I could call his name, but you should have stopped that right from the get. The bottom line is this. I was at some of those school committees. He spearheaded that school. You and I and everybody in here, please speak up, because without him and his leadership, we wouldn't have got a new school, except it should have been condemned. It was not fit. Oh, and let me add something else. When I asked the principal where he'd have our children while the school was being built on the same property, he didn't answer me. He said he forgot the question. That would be Mr. Frost. The bottom line is this, including Miss Stafford and any other teacher that was in that school, how much did you care for the kids when there were leaks, mold, etc.? A person from downstate or whatever came, and on our first shot, we got a grant. Does that tell you the condition it was in? And please, I'm not using the mic.
Please address me. Please address me. Don't address the meeting.
He didn't address you. He addressed us and said, brought up all kinds of things. The man is not here. And the next thing is, I hardly know this gentleman, and I don't think you should speak ill of the dead. That's my bottom line.
Other discussion of Article 9. Mr. Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty amazing to me that this article is taking longer than the rest of town meeting. And I had this long speech about naming buildings in Whitman, and I really don't want to have to do that. But I have to give you a little quick history about naming buildings in this town, and it doesn't happen that often. We had the Dyer and the Gurney They weren't educators. They were the founding fathers of this town. We had the Louise Conley School. She was an educator. She was a principal. I spent a lot of time in her office because she was my principal, and I got sent there more than once. She was a wonderful lady. She was an educator. We had the Frankie Holt School. He was an educator. The Duval School is a whole different story. I knew all 4 generations of the Duvals. I don't want to go down that road. I don't believe that it should have been named the Duval School. It should still be the Regal. No more than I believe that the middle school should be named after Fred Small. I knew Fred well, worked with him many, many years. Fred was not an educator. Great guy, worked his rear end on off of these different committees, but there's a whole lot of people here that are great people that have worked their rear end off on a lot of different things. I really don't want to follow up the person that was in front of me and say, I agree with, it's an insult to people like Beth Stafford, who is an educator for her whole life, and a school committee person. It's a real insult to someone like Dr. Kowalski, who has spent his life in education. Many different things in education, and he was a school committee member. Now he's a select board member. Tom Evans, he's here, so I... And this may be the only time that Rosemary Conley and I agree on anything. And don't tell anybody about the other time. If you want to name something after the guy, now, I'm not going to go through all the projects and buildings that we've built in this town that nobody has a name on. And they didn't need to have a name on them. Yeah, there are plaques. We built a $50 million high school. $50 million high school, on time and under budget. I think it's McEwen's is the auditorium. Yeah, if you want to do an auditorium, I don't have a problem with that. But whatever, I don't care what it is, but it should not be the school. I'm sorry if I've offended anybody. Let's move the question.
We have a motion to move the question. All in favor of moving to a vote on Article 9, say yes. Okay, further discussion of Article 9. All right, all in favor of Article 9, say yes. Opposed, no? Article 9 is not adopted. We have a motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? Meeting is adjourned.